Can I start? All right. Hi, this is Nick Hausman with Wrestling Inc. Congratulations on your win tonight. It was a really brutal bout and an even more emotional kind of post-match moment there with you all in the Briscoes. What was going on there? Like, you guys had talked a lot of trash and it got very emotional all of a sudden. It kind of felt like almost like a send-off until the Bucks came off. Like, what was going on? What was going on there after the match with you guys?
As you can tell on my face, in real life, I've been in a lot of fights, and I haven't won very many fights. I've been in a lot of fights with my best friends too, when things like that happen, you get done with your fights, and you respect the guy a little bit more. And I think that's what it was tonight. Those guys, we've honestly, this is my best friend. We've never met those guys before final battle. And tonight was our first time ever touching in a professional wrestling ring, a professional wrestling match. And God damn, you have something like that happens tonight. It doesn't happen every single day. And we were lucky enough that somebody decided to allow that to happen. And we were lucky enough to have it with those guys, and we understood that. And when guys are that tough and they want to be as good, and they want to match your intensity, match your athleticism, your enthusiasm, your physicality. God, you can't help but respect it.
Yeah, and I think the thing about it for us, like you said, like the harder you hit somebody, I think the more respect you earn from them when they hit you back, and they don't fold. And all this with those guys, and I hate to use this word because it's overused, but it was organic. Like, we never started messaging each other saying, hey, let's set something up. It was just, there was buzz that started online, and people started like, hey, we want to see this match. And for a while, we didn't even respond. And we finally, let's throw some fuel on the fire. They keep talking their trash, so let's show how it's done. And the whole thing's been a roller coaster. We didn't know when the match was going to happen, if, where, when, but this guy never let it die. And, we found out it was going to happen probably about a day before all you guys did, before it was announced. Like, it was literally about a day before. Okay, we had already, I made plans this weekend to be home in North Carolina. Like, I was supposed to be home with my family right now. And we got the news, and I said, who knows family? That's the thing. With these guys, it's always just been about being real. They were real. We were real. We weren't trying to be anything we weren't, and neither were they. And I think people appreciate that. And then the match out there tonight, we weren't trying to go out there and have this super fancy
Contest,
yeah.
athletic contest.
We just wanted to fight and to feel. And
I think ultimately, in real life, they think they're, as great as guys they are, and as much respect as you have for them, they really think that they're the best tag team maybe of all time. And obviously, myself and Cash think that there's no other tag team that can do the stuff that we can do, and that makes for a great competition.
Yeah, so we had no plans on shaking their hands after the match. It wasn't something that we thought it would be a cool moment. But sometimes the best moments are when you're in the moment, and it just happens. And after that, as much as I would love to punch them in the mouth every single night because I want to show the world we are the best, and I think this right here does that.
Right.
There's nothing they should be ashamed of. They shouldn't, hold their heads down. They should hold their heads up, and we want to make sure that they knew that and that we appreciate what they've done, not just for wrestling, but especially for Ring of Honor.
Thank you.
Joe?
Hi guys. Hi guys. How important was the bus from the arena, the building? It was insane. I mean, how important was the bus for you guys to perform tonight?
Yeah, like the buzz over the last couple of months, for me, I've been so nervous. I've been so nervous because as much as I talk tough, I want to deliver to the fans because without them, I can't go home to my beautiful what I'm saying? And so delivering a match that would live up to their expectations scared the shit out of me.
Especially while trying to stay true to ourselves, like
Yeah.
wrestling the style that we're going to wrestle when fans are kind of more used to
Car
Car
crashes and stuff. And you know, I had an idea of what I wanted it to be, and we had an idea of what we wanted it to be. But man, you never know if you can hit the marks that the fans want to see. And as soon as we got out there and hearing them and seeing how excited they were just for the match, that meant the world to me, man. And that's the stuff that I live for, you know.
I think, especially coming out of the pandemic, you appreciate things so much more. And like, I had fun wrestling during the pandemic era, but I think it made me a better wrestler. I think it made him a better wrestler. I think it makes everybody a better wrestler because you don't have the crutch of the crowd sometimes to know when something's good or bad. Or if something is bad and the crowd's good, they can cover that up for you. So I think wrestling during the pandemic, when you don't have that, and it's just you out there having to rely on yourself and thinking, this is good, this feels right. Coming back to a crowd like this, where it's 2,000, but it seems like 20, and they're just, I would rather wrestle with a crowd like that every single night than a crowd that sits on their hands and they're 20,000 deep, because I want to feel the energy every single night. Like when I'm in there and I get goosebumps talking about it, you can like literally feel the reverberation from the crowd through you. That's there it is again.
We're lucky.
Yeah.
We're lucky. We're lucky, man. To do we're so free.
So guys, just 2 more questions, please. Let's start with Stu.
Stu Meyer from the Horn and Sports Guys Talking Wrestling out of Boston. First of all, congratulations on the win. This match has been talked about for seemingly months. This was that dream match. So, and I know you guys put a lot of pressure on yourselves, and the Briscoes do as well. How much more pressure did the anticipation of this match, everybody, clamoring for this match, how much more pressure did that add to you?
I think the unpredictability, like I said, like we didn't know, nobody knew, so I think that made it even more of a buzz because like it's all over the place. There's zigzags. There's no straight line where you can see the end in sight where you know where it's leading to. So every now and then there's like a wrench thrown in, and then you get a bit here, a bit there where you can kind of build on it. And like I said, because of that, I think that added to it. It made it more special because it wasn't just by the numbers, cut and dry. We see where it's going. Like nobody did. Like I said, we found it a day before everybody else, so I think that made the buzz more special. But I think also people appreciate what we bring to the table, what the Briscoes bring to the table, and they just want to see good wrestling.
Yeah, I think the extra Zoloft I was taking every day for the last few weeks, talks volumes of the anxiety. But man, that's what we travel. I don't know, aside from my wife and my daughter, and what I perceive to be God, there's nothing more beautiful than professional wrestling. And we are lucky, not because he's sitting here beside me. We're lucky that we have a man that loves professional wrestling as much as we do as fans, as wrestlers, that produces professional wrestling. And we got to go out there tonight and not only live our dream and tell the stories we've wanted to tell for years, but man, my God, without getting emotional, I got to do it with my best friend too, and just taking that and being able to say we could go down as one of the greatest tag teams ever. That means more to me than anything. So we live on that anxiety. We live on that pressure, and I'm just so glad it's over.
Yeah, sometimes like the day of the show especially, I always question why I do this, because the anxiety and the nervous energy that just is in me makes me want to just run away and never do this again. But then as soon as the music hits and you go out there, it's just the best thing you could ever do, and it's addicting. And I think that's why we push ourselves so hard, because we know like if we give everything we have, the fans are going to give everything back. And there's no other job like that where you can go out there and you can literally get the immediate returns on the work you're putting in just based off everybody out there that's watching. You know, when it's good, but man, the anxiety leading up to it is bad.
Last question, Will.
Thank you. Will Washington, Grapsity on Fightful.com. Along with this match and the match you guys had this past Wednesday with the Gun Club, you guys seem to be kind of heading into some new territory as a tag team, being fan favorites. Can you talk a little bit about how that's kind of changed your approach in the ring and what you see for yourselves going forward with the fans behind you?
Yeah, I don't think it changes anything. You know, if we changed anything, the fans would not want to cheer us. I think they respect us, and I think that they see the passion that we bring into wrestling. So I don't know if there are baby faces and heels and things like that. I think there are guys that and girls that the fans attach themselves to emotionally, and that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to make them. I mean, goddamn, I'm wearing a Bret Hart shirt. He made me feel a certain way. You know what I mean? For 38 years, he made me feel a certain
Whether
way.
he was a good guy or a bad guy, it didn't change how he felt about it.
He hated America. So did I, dude. That's what I want to do as a wrestler. I want to make you feel something. I'm not comparing myself to freaking one of the greatest of all time. What I'm saying is, I want to make you feel a certain way. You know, I can't do a tope. I can't fucking Sasuke over the top rope. But god dang, I'll work as hard as I can to make you feel a certain way about me and about who I'm wrestling with, and to the point where you can't deny it. And you either love me or you hate me. And if you love me, that's cool. And if you hate me, that's cool too. Because at the end of the day, I work my ass off. And I earn my check. And I get to go home and take care of my family. And if you like that, you fucking like it. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. That's okay. You know, I don't consider FTR, I don't consider us to be good guys or bad guys. We're just fucking guys. You know what I mean? So, new territory, we're still locking up. You're still snatching a headlock. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. Do I appreciate the fans? I fucking love them. You know, I freaking love the fans. I love them, and I hate them. If they love us back, that's cool. And if they don't, I'll be okay, because tomorrow is Saturday. You know what I mean? And I'll still be there tomorrow.
Yeah, like I still want to stay true to what FTR is, who we are, like what we've always been. But I like that it gives us a unique challenge. There will be like a little bit of differences here and there. Like I haven't thrown an arm drag in a decade. Now I'm throwing them every night because I'm Steamboat, baby. It's just the approach will be slightly different, but we're still going to cheat if we get the chance. We're still going to take every shortcut we can. And, you can cheer us, you can boo us, but as long as you feel something, I don't give a shit.
That's it. Just feel. And love wrestling.
And if I may,
Yes,
we talked. Thank you. We spoke before the match, and on this subject and what you just asked about, Will, a lot's changed in the last couple of years in pro wrestling. These guys, 2 years ago, weren't even in AEW, and now they've held tag team championships, the AEW World Tag Team Championships, the AAA Tag Team Championships, and the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships,
so good.
all in a couple of years, and things have changed so much. And Cash brought up wrestling in the pandemic era, and what a conversation that the three of us had before the show actually was, we didn't know what tonight was going to be, and I knew the attendance had really turned great, and since specifically we announced this match, things had picked up. Like, we had only sold, before I bought the company, before I signed the agreement to buy the company and we announced it, I think they had only sold about 250 tickets, and we ended up with like over 2,000 people here. And it's largely through the anticipation for this match, the pay-per-view buys when we get them back. I know already from some of the preliminary digital numbers I've gotten that this is going to be one of Ring of Honor's best pay-per-views ever. If not, it's up there. And this match had a ton of anticipation, but we talked about where we were about a year and a half ago when they were the World Tag Team Champions and they had the match in AEW full gear in front of about maybe, let's say, about 70% as many people that were here, but it was a very different type of thing because Daly's Place, we had social distancing, the fans were wearing masks, people were just getting used to coming back, in New Japan, they were just clapping, and even here, people were a little bit more restrained. But when Young Bucks versus FTR happened in AEW for the World Tag Team Championship, it may have been the worst moment of your life. It may have been one of the worst nights of your life. But the fact is, we didn't know what was going to happen with the Ring of Honor belts. We didn't know what was going to happen with the great match, and we didn't know it was going to be the classic that would hold up there with your great classic matches like that match. But now you have another chance. You have another chance, and you have 2 championships, and you've proven so much in the year and a half since then. And now, instead of about 1,250 people in a 5,000 seat building, you're going to be wrestling in front of 5,000 people in a 5,000 seat building, and every single one of them wants to see FTR versus the Young Bucks, and a lot's changed, and things have maybe changed around a lot in that time. But one thing that hasn't changed is the second time around. I think it's going to be a great match, and I can't wait for Wednesday. And congratulations to both of you, and I love you both very much.
I love you, dude. I love professional wrestling. So fun. So fun.
Thank you. Let's go. There you go. Joining us next, I think, Mandy, you got the interim women's world champion of Ring of Honor, Mercedes Martinez, who also has been wrestling in AEW recently, and now here in Ring of Honor is the new interim women's world champion. Hey! What's up, champ? Thank you, Chip.
First question, I'm gonna have Sean.
Sean Rossap, Fightful. A couple of years ago, you passed up what at the time could have been a big career opportunity with a new group in another company, and now you're wrestling for AEW. You're the interim ROH Women's World Champion. I know there's been a lot of ups and downs since then, but like in that moment, as you won that title, how did you feel about those decisions? Because I mean, one always leads to another.
I'm always a big believer that the universe has a plan for you. You make decisions based on what's going on in your life, and there's always a path that you have to take. I think it wasn't so much passing up AEW back, 2 years ago. It was more or less, I think they were still learning, and I was still trying to figure out where I was going at that time. It just wasn't the right time.
To be honest, it was a screwy thing.
Yeah.
I told her here's what happened. Here's what happened. She was working with us, and here's why. So obviously I like Mercedes a lot, and I had worked in putting a match order and a card together for All Out. She was very prominently featured in All Out, and I actually was coaching then and worked with you and liked her a lot. We got along really well, but it was before the TV renewal. And I went on the Jericho cruise pre-pandemic, and it was a very eventful cruise. A lot of stuff happened. There was a lot of stuff that weekend, and Booker T was on the cruise. And he brought up to me how I'd really missed the boat on Mercedes, and I told him, I was like, that's the kind of, Mercedes is exactly the kind of person I would really like to have in AEW, and I was looking, and I was using her on a non-contract basis, basically building up to when I had the budget to sign her, because before the TV deal, our revenue stream totally changed, and you saw me bring in literally dozens of free agents since then, dozens. And she absolutely would have been one of them, but she signed with a competition before I got the contract, and it was probably within weeks. So Booker was it was a funny conversation here. I was trying to explain to him, I worked with her, we worked on the Battle Royal together, I thought she was awesome, and now I'm going to go out and start signing people, and after that we signed a bunch of big names like Brody Lee, Matt Hardy, and the next year FTR, Sting, and many others, and built up a lot of names, and she would absolutely been a name I was really interested in, so that was a conversation I had with Booker T on the cruise.
I legitimately was referring to Retribution though. Like, I mean, you passed up that opportunity on TV. Yeah, exactly. And then now you're here and you're winning champions.
Yeah, the whole Retribution thing, I think for me, the decision to not be a part of that was probably a great decision for me personally. I always believe my legacy has to be me in my truest form, which is as Mercedes Martinez, not part of a group or in a mass, and not to take away from anything that anybody in that group, they have their own decisions to make. For me personally, in my career in 20 years, I really did not want to change anything that I worked so hard for. The basis of my career has always been, I want to do this my way. true to my form, true as that I can be, very authentic, and it was always Mercedes, Mercedes, Mercedes. And have I turned down opportunities? Yes, of course. And I just truly believe that that was not the direction that I wanted my career to go. And everybody was on board. There was no bad press or anything on it. Everyone was on the same page. They understood where I was going, what I wanted to do for my career, and that was it. And I left and went back to NXT and kept my career there. So it was for me, it was a good decision for me personally. That's all.
That makes sense. Sorry, I didn't know that's what you meant.
No,
I thought you meant
Touch on
all.
that one, it's
I thought
crazy.
it's a good story too. It's a good story, and also it's like true because I really did enjoy. We had a good time at All Out, and then I enjoyed working with you, and I wanted her to come back, and it was the one that got away, and now we're back together. Both kind of fit. Who's up next?
Right here.
Righteous Rage, Pro Wrestling Illustrated and Grab City Podcast. You said you've had a 20-year career. Congrats on the great career. How do you approach matches now as a 20-year veteran when you're up against a lot of talent that is highly touted? The internet loves these people, and you just come in as the veteran and play your role. How does it feel to play that veteran role now?
I take it with pride. I really do. I think with me coming in the old school mentality, less is more. I think my body can only handle so much. You want to put out the best you can and really show that you can go with the young girls or guys, because I don't care who I'm in the ring with. I think it's just building my body up and preparing my body up for those big matches and going all out on the big matches. And when you have the smaller matches, you kind of save your body. It's really just when I go in there, I teach the girls, hey, this is how you can do this better. Save your body for the long run. You want to have longevity in this industry, you really do. And if you go out there and you're constantly just go, high spots this, high spots that, you're going to potentially have yourself an injury and you're going to take yourself out of the game. I truly believe, with me having injuries in my career, being out 2 years here, 2 years there, it's because I was go. I was in that mentality just like they were. Now going into my 21 years now, I work a little smarter. I really do. I pick and choose what I can and can't do, but still being able to deliver on those matches and still highlight the girls as well. My match with Willow tonight was phenomenal. And we wrestled a couple years ago, and this match is a whole flip of what we did and what she can accomplish. My job as a veteran is to lift these girls up and get them to the level that I'm at and show the world that, yes, they can do all this crazy stuff, but when they're in the ring with someone like me, they have to learn a different style, different way to showcase themselves. And it's really just getting them to have the experience to be able to do that when they do wrestle other people, and then when they do get to my level, would they be able to take that advice as well? So I take it really personally, and I really do want them to understand that my job is, if I'm here, I want them to get here and surpass me. Because my job is to pass the torch at some point in time and give them that experience. And I really do. I really think longevity is the name of the game. I want to be here 21 years if I didn't think longevity was the game.
But tonight was not the night for passing.
No, I'm still in my prime. What are you talking about?
Sure.
Want to go Connor here?
Hey guys, Connor Casey, comicbook.com. Tony, now that you have an interim women's champion, they plan on when the unification match might be coming up.
Yeah, we're looking at the schedule. It's no secret. I think there's other wrestling shows this weekend, and she had a contractual obligation tonight. So there was no way to work out a title match involving her. I think either one would have been a very worthy challenger. Mercedes, and obviously we saw Willow, also a very worthy challenger. So I decided, in the interest of the fans, as we've done in a previous situation before where the champion was unavailable to make a date, crown an interim champion, and it gives a great show and a great match to the fans. It was a great match and a great show. And now we have an exciting championship match to look forward to. So when I can work out a date when she doesn't have her contractual obligations, we will make it happen. I'm very confident. Thanks.
2 more questions. Will, over here. Phil? Right front row. Great.
Hi, Phil Lindsay, Grab City Podcast and Future Report. For Mercedes, you recently had a match with Deanna, and of course she came out on top on that one. How are you preparing for the rematch?
I know her tricks. What are you talking about? It's the concept of reinventing yourself, reinventing your movesets. When you wrestle someone, as much as I wrestled Deanna, probably in the last 6 months, we were practically married to each other. So we know each other very, very well. I think in our next matchup, I have to pull out different things that no one has seen, up my game, go to training, and really level up the playing field when it comes to her. 'Cause just like she has to level up, because it's on a different platform now. I always say that when I get in the ring with anybody that I'm familiar with, people seen it all already between us two, so we have to always up the ante and show them something different that they haven't seen in our previous matchups, and that's really the game that's really challenging for anybody who's in the ring with someone who they're used to. So I think in the mindset, whenever this match does happen, you're going to see a different style of Mercedes. Yeah, I'll pull out my usual stuff, but I really do want to go into this with a different mentality and treat it as if, okay, this is someone new. What can I pull out that no one has seen yet? Because at the end of the day, I want to be that undisputed champion, of course. That's the goal, right?
Last question, second row.
Damian Gracia, Big Gold Belt Media. You mentioned something really important, which is authenticity in your career. So being in your 21st year, how do you maintain your own personal authenticity throughout all of professional wrestling?
I stay true to myself. I really do. I believe that the fans and even in the locker room and the girls, I don't sugarcoat anything. What you see is what you get. It really is. There is no character when you see Mercedes out there. There is no fakeness to me at all. The way I speak, the way my mannerisms are, it's really me when you see me out on the street. And I believe that that can cater to a lot of people. I don't need to play a big character. I don't need to be this big thing. It's just, I always believed when I started wrestling that I just wanted to wrestle. I wanted to wrestle just as me. And not the glitz and the glamour. I want it to be raw, rugged, thugged, like gritty, and that's really what it comes down to. And for me, my lifestyle is like that as well. It's really just hustle and grind always. You never stop, because anything can happen in this business. It can get taken away from you like that. And if I stay true to myself, I know that everyone out there, can be true to themselves if they really want it. I don't want someone to change me for them. If I'm gonna change, it's gonna be for me. It's not going to be for anybody else, and if you don't like it, that's too bad. It really is, because I'm not going to change for nobody, no matter how much money is on the plate, no matter what fame, because at the end of the day, I'm the one who has to look at myself in the mirror. I'm the one who has to be with content with the decisions I've made, and up to this point in 21 years in this business, I'm happy. I really am. I'm content with the decisions I made. I don't regret anything that I have done in this business, because here I am, still killing it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Okay, I think next we've got ready on deck here, coming in next, the undisputed Ring of Honor World Champion, Jonathan Gresham. You guys have John? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, questions? Yep, in the back there.
Hi, Derek Reed, Rock Show, KZRC. I had a chance to talk with Jay Lethal a little bit earlier in the week, and as we see you come out victorious in the match, Jay Lethal comes out, has some things to say to you. We didn't really get a chance to hear any answers at the end of the show. What do you say about Jay Lethal?
Well, I think there always comes a time when the person that was under the wing starts to surpass the person that is teaching. And I think we're at that level now where Jay no longer sees me as his student. He sees me as an equal. And now that I am Ring of Honor World Champion, he sees me as competition. This is, to me, the most prestigious prize in wrestling today. And anybody on any roster would want this belt, and I believe Jay now wants it again. Now that Ring of Honor is underneath the AEW umbrella, honor lives on. And up under this new banner, I feel that people want to be the center of attention because all eyes right now are on Ring of Honor. And that's what Jay wants. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, go ahead. Yep,
Oh, okay.
Nick.
Okay. Should I wait for the microphone or no?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Thank
We'll get it to you, Nick.
I was about to say, I don't want to break protocol
You're
here.
okay, man.
Okay, thank you. Kind of a question for both of you. It was definitely something I noticed tonight with Wheeler and Joe that the announcements on Twitter you made, Tony, were also AEW announcements on a Ring of Honor night. Now, Jonathan, are you interested in bringing the title to AEW to defend it? Do you want to keep it in the company? And Tony, are you looking to mingle Jonathan and that title into AEW, or do you want to keep Jonathan separate from
If I
AEW?
may, no, I definitely would love to have Jonathan defend the title in AEW and on AEW programming, and I think that's definitely something possible. And Jonathan's traveled the world, and he can tell you better than anybody, I think, about his vast experiences wrestling and all the championships he's held in all the promotions around the world. So I'm excited for him to defend the championship in AEW, on Dynamite, on Rampage, on lots of our great programming, and also I think there are a lot of great relationships that we have with other companies and relationships Jonathan has with companies, and I think there's a lot of exciting possibilities both in AEW and through the Forbidden Door.
Great.
And,
Well, for me, it would be an honor to take Ring of Honor to national television. The funny thing is my life has been somewhat of a Cinderella story. I grew up in wrestling, idolizing the men and women that worked for Ring of Honor, and my passion grew. It got me out of a lot of trouble. I wouldn't be standing or sitting next to Tony Khan right now if it wasn't for Ring of Honor. And my goal was always to be Ring of Honor World Champion. I never told anybody, but I worked night and day to get exactly where I am today. And my goal along the way was to make sure that Ring of Honor lives on. And I want to take the idea, the essence, and the heart and soul of Ring of Honor to everybody around the world. And now that Tony Khan has acquired Ring of Honor, I can now do that. I really appreciate the passion that he has for professional wrestling and the passion that he has for Ring of Honor. If it wasn't for Tony Khan, Honor would have died. And now I can stick with the company that I have fallen in love with all these years ago. And I don't have to wave another flag ever besides for Ring of Honor.
Sean?
Sean Ross at Fightful. I spoke to you, I think it was like in October, we were talking about the first tournaments, and even back then, right after the initial ROH hiatus announcement happened, you said, it's important to me to stick this out and see what happens with Ring of Honor. Nobody could have known what was going to happen with Ring of Honor, and I'm sure there were some really uncertain, maybe even scary times there. Like, can you maybe recount some of those, and then how you felt when you heard that Tony bought ROH?
So for me, like I told you, my life has been sort of a Cinderella story, and this voice in my mind has always guided me, and I learned a long time ago to listen to this voice. Again, I wouldn't be here sitting next to Tony Khan if it wasn't for this voice that I like to call my destiny. And when I heard that Ring of Honor was going on hiatus, I remember Lethal calling me after the meeting was over, and he said to me, I'm really upset with you. And I said, why? He goes, because on the Zoom call, you were the most calm person. It's because my destiny was talking to me. This is not a gimmick. This is real life for me. And my destiny was talking to me, and it was telling me that everything was going to be okay. I had no clue what was going to happen, but I knew I had to keep Honor alive. So I went around the world defending the Ring of Honor World Championship because I truly felt that something was going to happen. And I was on tour in Ireland in my hotel room taking a nap, and I get a phone call from Bandito, and he tells me, hey, amigo, do you know what's going on? I said, no, bro, I do not. And he tells me that Tony Khan purchased Ring of Honor, and that's when it hit me. My destiny was right. Honor will live on. And so I just keep listening to this voice in my mind that has never steered me wrong. And I'm so very happy that the people after me, the next generation, will get a chance to enjoy Ring of Honor, but now on a bigger stage, on national television, hopefully. And I just want what happened to me to happen to other people. And just this company, the men that fought for this belt, the fingerprint that won this championship, it just means so much to me. So I want to thank you. I haven't gotten a chance to thank you for buying Ring of Honor and keeping it alive. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, champ.
Adam?
Well, what culture wrestling? You talked about idolizing Ring of Honor, and in the video package before the match, talk about the original ROH World Title. One of the first faces we saw was Samoa Joe, if not the first. So your reaction to him being back in Ring of Honor, and Tony, your reaction to having him in All Elite Wrestling as well.
Well, I think I'm very excited to have Samoa Joe in both Ring of Honor and All Elite Wrestling. I thought his timing was impeccable, and I'm sure the champ agrees. But I'm very excited, and we're going to hear from him shortly, actually. So I think you'll get to hear from him as well. But I know I'm very excited about having Samoa Joe in AEW. Samoa Joe is going to be on Dynamite on Wednesday. And it was great to have him here at Supercard, and I thought it made a great night of great wrestling, even a bit more special. And it was a really cool moment to see Samoa Joe in the ring, I think, with Jonathan Gresham and Lee Moriarty, a few different generations of great wrestlers and great Ring of Honor stars, and all people that potentially could be competing also in AEW. And very excited about a great championship match to end a great pay-per-view tonight at Supercard.
For me, I'm just very excited, from the locker room to the people that are making special appearances tonight, like Samoa Joe. Christopher Daniels is in his locker room. Jay Lethal is here. BJ Whitmer is here. And to me, when I became conscious of how wrestling can be, in my mind, how wrestling should be, I call these men, these great men, the originals. And they still possess the fire and the spirit of what I believe wrestling is built upon. And having them here in this company to teach the next generation, to help us understand how to be pro wrestling, means the world to me. I am exactly where I'm supposed to be, and I'm very happy these guys are coming back to an umbrella that has someone that cares so passionately about the sports and the essence of this business. Tony Khan and Samoa Joe and Brian Danielson, all these guys are keeping the business of pro wrestling alive, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Hi, Jonathan. Mike Dagger for Lucha Libre Online. So, going with that same question, piggyback on it, I would like to know, since people like Daniel Bryan, Samoa Joe, even CM Punk are part of All Elite Wrestling, and it seems like there's probably going to be some cross-promotional things here and there, if I'm not mistaken, right? Could be. How do you feel about facing people like possibly a CM Punk, a Samoa Joe, or Brian Danielson?
My travels during the hiatus was, in my mind, preparing me to face two men. Those men being CM Punk and Brian Danielson. I believe that honor was lost a long time ago when they decided to change this championship to other versions of this. The fingerprints of the originals is on this championship. When it's seen around the world, people clap not for me, but for this championship, because it holds such a rich history. So, to me, when honor was taken away, now that I possess this, my job is to bring honor back to this championship. And the only way to do that is to wrestle two men. The men that took the name best in the world away from Ring of Honor, CM Punk. The man that buried the division that I revived, the pure division, Brian Danielson. So my job is to wrestle these two men, win or loss, to restore honor to this championship. So those are the matches that I look forward to. And I feel like my job will be done. I will have done what I needed to do for Ring of Honor. After that, my future is unclear.
One more question? Over here? Oh, sorry, Rachel.
You know what, I'm gonna let y'all have it.
Thank you. Rachel Stretch of Pro Wrestling Illustrated and Grapsity Podcast. Great match tonight, Mr. Jonathan Gresham. Congratulations on your victory. There was a lot of fanfare, a lot of things surrounding this event tonight. You were the main event. There's a lot of things surrounding your match. How do you kind of block out everything that's happened, the sale of Ring of Honor, being involved with AEW, this show, coming to different venues? How did you just kind of block all that out to focus on being the undisputed Ring of Honor champion and not letting the outside curriculum kind of get you off track?
That's very easy. I stay off of social media. I delete the apps.
Gotcha.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Welcome to, for the first time ever, to AEW as well, this coming Wednesday on TBS on Dynamite. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, Samoa Joe.
Yes.
Okay, questions? Well, let's go with Sean.
Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful. I know it's been probably an up and down last year and a half for you, personally, professionally. This is kind of for Tony too. The first time when Joe seemed like he would be available, was that something that you were like immediately interested in exploring? And were you even able to reach out to him contractually at that point?
No, but I was interested, and it just never happened. But it would have been great. But here it worked out great, right?
To be honest, he didn't really even have much of a chance. So.
Sure. But how are you feeling now? Because I mean, it was obvious that like they would be somebody that was interested in you. And how did you feel when you heard that Tony bought ROH? Something that obviously means a lot to you.
Obviously, it was a major surprise to me, especially coming from my former position and how hard I was pushing to buy the library for the other company. So let me know why it was being such a difficult process. But when that did come up, at the same time, having Tony have it and knowing how much he loves wrestling and knowing how much he loved ROH and the product just from our meetings and time knowing each other, I knew it would be in good hands, and I knew it would be treated with respect, and it would be kind of made available to the fans in the best way possible. So I was very.
Denise?
Jones, Denise Salcedo, Instinct Culture. I do have to ask you, being released twice is not something that, people want and have to deal with, right? And given that you are able to do all these different types of roles, behind the camera, in front of the camera, etc., I do have to ask you, how did you feel about that, and what was your, your mentality going through that?
At this point in my career and what I've done, the second release, my going back to WWE was majorly because of the people that I'd worked with and the relationships that I built in the company. And namely two people, Triple H and William Regal. As Triple H obviously dealing with his situation, which I knew about and was way more concerned about than my employment. And Regal, his departure, I knew the writing was on the wall for me. And, which is fine. We were a big collective team and a big collective kind of, a think tank within the company. And, they went a different way. And, as far as the release, I mean, it's an up and down process for a lot of people. For me, I mean, it just freed me up to really kind of pursue a lot of projects that I really wanted to work on. And kind of freed me up to, start talking with Tony and talking about the future of what he wanted to do. And I was very surprised a lot of that matched up.
Next, Joel.
Joel Torres from Contralona. ROH Originals, AEW Originals, new stars coming up on ROH and AEW. How do you feel about this? I mean, there's a lot of new generation, and you guys can combine now the originals and the new generation. How do you feel about working with this?
I'm more than excited. These are the environments that I love. A lot of guys, they get to a certain point in the industry and, they don't want to put themselves in the crucible. They don't want to put themselves in situations where they got young, hungry guys who want to come up and tear the throat out for their spot. I've never had an issue with that. And, that's a major reason why I'm here. Talking with Tony, understanding the lay of the land and the athletes that have been attracted to AEW and ROH, I knew that, it was a place that I wanted to be. A lot of familiar faces, a lot of new, kind of burgeoning stars that are coming into their own. And, these are the environments where I thrive. When I came into NXT, it was very much the same type of thing. When I came into WWE, everywhere I go, I'm searching out for those type of matchups with those type of individuals. And AEW is flush with them, and ROH is flush with them. And, now I have this grand opportunity to pursue those targets on both brands.
So
Hello, Joe. Mike Dagger for Lucha Libre Online. I know it's been a difficult, maybe like 2 years when it comes to it with the releases, but not only that, but you have been known to have a few injuries that have been lingering with, Father Time's unbeatable, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you feel moving forward that that you're gonna have to fight a different generation of wrestlers, younger wrestlers, and be able to keep up with that?
No, I'm more than confident. What you got to understand too is, coming into WWE, that is me coming off a 15-year plus career, probably the worst medical care that a guy can get, and going into probably, a very, very, arduous schedule. And, I did have a few injuries, one of them just being the major concussion, which took me out for a while. And honestly, I took extra time. When it comes to brain injury and stuff like that, I wasn't willing to risk going back quickly and potentially harming myself permanently. It's a dumb thing to do. We have too much science on our side. We have too much knowledge now that we can, kind of pull back and treat things properly and take the time to heal. And, I took the time to do that. And that was really just my major issue, is I was taking the right amount of time to make sure that I was ready to come back to the ring. And, as for my last injury, obviously it was more of a circumstance of the world that we all currently live in now. And, it pops up here and there. And, I've been healthy. I'm more than ready to go, and I'm excited to go.
Thanks, Roger.
Righteous Reg, Pro Wrestling Illustrated and Grab City Podcast. Samoa Joe, it's amazing to see you here in All Elite Wrestling. You talked a little bit about...
And in Ring of Honor.
And in Ring of Honor. I was getting there, Tony Compton.
Thanks, Reg.
You talked a little bit about the wanting to purchase the Ring of Honor library. My personal favorite independent wrestling match of all time is Samoa Joe against Kenta Kobashi. A great, amazing match. I watch it all the time. As we've seen, you signed with AEW. Was signing with AEW, was the Ring of Honor kind of thing being together or talked about? Did that play a role in you wanting to sign with AEW?
Oh, it played a role, but I mean, the initial discussions, because obviously, Tony was playing his cards very close to his chest, and not revealing things on his own end, heavily alluding to it, but never quite revealing. So, yeah, it did play a major role because, obviously, I have a lot of my legacy tied up with the promotion, and a lot of work that many fans have enjoyed over the years has been, affiliated with the promotion. So, to see it and to be a part of it and to help influence the future of it, it was kind of a unmissable opportunity.
Go ahead, Nick.
Okay. Thank you. Joe, the last time I saw you in person was at the Las Vegas SummerSlam WWE tryouts, and that's a day that has weirdly stayed with me because it was very obvious WWE had decided to change the direction of the kind of talent they were recruiting for the company at that particular tryout. I think there was only like 8 independent talents there that day.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like for you to watch the direction change there, and do you see that creating an opening for AEW, knowing the direction WWE is headed with their developmental and recruitment?
Yeah, I mean, you also have to understand that, the major shift was mainly because, many of the better independent wrestlers are working for AEW. So, I mean, let's just be honest here. I mean, when we were tapping into a market and we're looking for new athletes when I was with WWE at the time, the market's tapped and you try to find a new market. And that really was probably a lot of the impetus of why they chose to switch directions. So, if there's not a lot of gold in the well, you start digging somewhere else.
Fair enough.
2 more questions, right here, Jack.
David Grossi, Big Go Bell Media. Welcome home, Joe.
Thank you, appreciate it.
That was one of the things I got a text from my brother who was watching the pay-per-view. He said, Joe's come home. So when you hear someone say you're home, what does that do for you, for one? And since we've seen them throughout your career, you can slide into any role. Production, broadcaster, in-ring talent. From the new ROH, where do you see yourself sliding in terms of roles?
The world champion. I mean, that's why I'm here. I mean, I tried my bit at bettering the world of professional wrestling, but at the end of the day, I'm here in AEW, I'm here in ROH to be a unified champion. I'm here to win the AEW championship. I'm here to win the Ring of Honor championship. I'm here to win anything they put in front of me. Me and Tony have already talked. I'm more than willing to go into the Owen Hart and win that. Like, this ain't a game anymore. I mean, listen, AEW's got a lot of feel-good moments, a lot of great wrestlers who really respect each other. I don't respect nobody until you're in the ring with me. I'm coming out there to smack people in their mouth and take what they have. And that's pretty much my edict when I'm here. Let's get it real clear. I mean, hey, broadcaster, mentor, good guy, hey, I am all those things, but not here. Not here.
Last question? Go ahead.
Hi, Samira from Wrestling News Co. So you were talking about how there's some newer talent here in AEW and ROH. Is there anybody that you would really want to get in the ring with?
You know, I had a pretty large list of grapplers I could list it off. And the roster is flush with those types of individuals. But every day that I go out there, it's important that everybody knows that they're not special, they're not unique, they're another target in my way. They're another person who I must go through to get what I want. So as far as who do I want in AEW, I want it all. If you got an issue and you think you're the man in the company, come see me. We'll switch that up. We will fix that perception. That's why I'm here.
Thank you very much.
Joe.
Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
You guys, questions for Tony?
Thank you, Joe.
Congratulations, Tony. This was a really fantastic show.
Thank you.
A lot of fun stuff that happened on
Thank
the
you.
show.
That's great to hear. Thank you, Nick.
You're welcome. I wanted to follow up on a report that Sean had over on Fightful about this show. There were two talents that apparently were booked and then taken off the show, and that was Killer Cross and Scarlett. Is that true? If so, why were they taken off the show after they were booked?
They weren't booked by, nothing was really booked until I took over. I think there was some stuff that had been announced, but they had never been announced on the show. And given some of the stuff on the show, I thought, like for example, I really like him a lot. I like Killer Cross and Scarlett. I don't think they were specifically locked into any match or specific thing, although it's possible the prior management had talked to them. I think the prior management had talked to a lot of people. But I tried to stay true to the stories of Ring of Honor, and I want to build a new era of Ring of Honor, and I tried to feature a lot of the former names and a lot of names of the past, and also debut some people in Ring of Honor for the first time, some wrestlers from AEW like Brian Cage and Swerve and others. And then, it was very cool, and there's a lot of people who have history in Ring of Honor who've wrestled there in the past or even recently who were in AEW. So I thank you for saying you like the show, and I thought it came out great. But yeah, when I took over the booking, I think there'd only been a few things announced, and that wasn't one of the things, and there was no match locked in or anything. But total respect for both of them, and could have easily seen that fitting in too.
Great.
Thanks.
Connor?
Hey Tony, just want to start by saying congratulations on a great first event in Ring of Honor. I know we're fresh off of it, but do you have any updates as far as touring for Ring of Honor, television deals, or when the next event will be?
I cannot give that information yet, but I wanted to make sure that this is a really special night. I consider it a transition show. It's been a while since Final Battle, and last month, it's been about a month now that I announced the agreement to purchase Ring of Honor. And this show, they had committed to some people. To Nick's point, there were matches that had been announced, and there were tickets that had been sold. And Gresham versus Bandito for the undisputed title had been announced, and a few other matches too. And like I said, they sold a few hundred tickets, and they'd also made agreements with the pay-per-view providers. And I didn't feel right backing out on the fans or the business, and I thought we would make the best of a situation. I never expected to be here this weekend. I love being here with the fans. I cannot get out of this weekend fast enough and go back to Jacksonville. But it was a unique situation to do it this year. And with Ring of Honor having made the commitment, I thought it was the right thing to do. It was weird having Rampage on, and a great Rampage. If you guys haven't seen it yet, it's a great show. I'm really proud of both shows tonight. I think you'll really enjoy it. There's a lot to look forward to as The Young Bucks were advertised. They were in 2 places at once. And Young Bucks versus Top Flight's a great match. Jimmy Hayter versus Sky Blue is a great match. The House of Black versus Fuego del Sol and Uno and Stu is a great match. And we had an amazing main event with Powerhouse Hobbs versus Keith Lee. It is a great main event when you see it. So it's just a great night of wrestling. And it was surreal having both shows on the same night. And it was surreal being a part of this, coming to Ring of Honor, meeting people for the first time. Having Tony Schiavone in the back helping out is pretty surreal. How many times have we all watched the last episode of Nitro? And Tony's getting produced by new people, and it's a surreal situation. And, they didn't even take Tony with them, which they may have regretted during that Buck Bagwell versus Booker T match. Not because of anything those guys did. And Scott Hudson and Arn are fine, but I don't think Scott Hudson and Arn had ever called a match together. And that's one of the things I thought was good about having Caprice and Ian together tonight. They have a lot of chemistry and experience together. I didn't want to put a first time team out there because Arn and Scott are both great announcers, but they just didn't have the chemistry. So I thought it was unusual on in front of millions of people at that point to put a new team on the air, and I don't think it really felt authentic to the millions of people who watch WCW. So I did want to try to capture an authentic experience, and it was a Ring of Honor show. It was very different from what we would do with AEW. There were different people involved, and I tried to do as many things from the onset to make it authentic to the Ring of Honor fan, but also make it clear we're launching a new era, and the whole thing was awesome. Thank you. That's a good question to ask. I'm not sure where it's going to end up and when it's going to happen, but we've had really good conversations with Warner Media. I think they're really impressed by what we've done with it, and they were really cool because I have a TV contract, and they didn't have to let me do this show. And what Ring of Honor was and what it would have been. They could have prevented me from producing this show, and they let me. And then even tried to make an event tonight with promoting Rampage and Ring of Honor, and some crossover with obviously the Young Bucks, wrestling on Rampage and doing a run-in here, Swerve wrestling on Supercard, and hey, maybe Swerve shows up on Rampage if you haven't seen it yet. So, I thought it would be a lot of fun, and those kind of guys going both ways, and they were very supportive of us doing this. I think they wanted it to be a Ring of Honor show and not an AEW show, which is great because that's what I wanted too. So we were totally on the same page. I promised them I'm not going to go do an AEW show and try to cut you guys out of it. And they were just really great. And I think it's really cool. There are a lot of exciting things happening at Warner Media right now, and I'm really glad we're a part of them with AEW. And I hope Ring of Honor can be a part of it too. And I'm really optimistic that it can because of the really good track record that the women and men of AEW have, putting on great shows and working hand in hand with Warner Media. It was a really good week for us. Last few weeks, Dynamite has ranked in the top 3 shows on cable. The only 2 shows, both times, the only thing that's beaten us in the last few weeks has been the ESPN NBA doubleheader, which they paid billions of dollars for. So it's a very strong place in the world of television and the world of professional sports and media that AEW sits in right now. And now Ring of Honor, because of those relationships, I think is in a better position than it's ever been before to capitalize, and hopefully we can bring Ring of Honor to a great audience. And I know Warner, I'm so grateful. I mean, they've changed our lives. I think it's really, I was saying to Rocky how we brought something back. I don't know if I've said this out loud before. Maybe I said it once in another interview, so I'm sorry if you've heard this one other time. I feel like I said it once out loud to outside of the back. There was I think I did say this on the radio, so I'm sorry. But I'll just finish my thought. There was, so long there was wrestling on TNT, and for a lot longer TBS, and it's just been a thing for a long time. And it was really cool we were able to bring it back. And when we started AEW, I did not have a good relationship with New Japan. They were not happy about this. And they did not trust me at all. And actually, their partner at the time was Ring of Honor. And it meant a lot that over the course of time, of course, now I think Ring of Honor is in great hands. The history of Ring of Honor is in great hands. I'm very grateful to everybody that made tonight possible. But I was saying to Rock, how cool is it that we've put all this back together now? The New Japan Ring of Honor relationship is repaired. You see Minoru Suzuki is the new Ring of Honor TV champion. Great milestone, as we were saying, that it's the first championship in America Suzuki's ever won, which is pretty amazing with all the great championships he's won in his career. But also, looking, this Ring of Honor moment gave us a chance to reflect. But we were saying recently it's pretty cool because there was wrestling on TNT and TBS for so long with WCW, and then it's like a big hole in my life as a fan, and I think in people's lives. Maybe not everybody, but there's thousands of people. I think this was like a hole in our lives, whether we knew it or not. That like there should be wrestling on Turner, there should be wrestling on TNT and TBS, and it was great to bring it back. But it's also great to repair the relationship with New Japan, and then be able to bring Yuji Nagata back to TNT, and to be able to bring Ishii to AEW, and hopefully he can come back again and bring other great stars from New Japan that haven't been over here yet. And now to bring Suzuki to Ring of Honor and have him be the TV champion, and so many great stars from AEW have gone to New Japan. And again, that's a relationship. I think it's the wrestling company that's on TNT and TBS. It just feels right. They should have a relationship with New Japan, and Ring of Honor should have a relationship with New Japan. And now it's all come together. So I think that's really cool.
Mike?
Hi Tony, Mike from Lucha Libre 9.
Yeah.
So I have a question. You're already basically living out your dream. You made and you have your own wrestling company, right? Now you buy a second one for yourself. How much pressure are you feeling right now that you have to produce all of the AEW shows and book them, and now you have another baby that you got to take care of?
I feel like we got through a really good week. This was a really high pressure week with Dynamite, Rampage, and Supercard, and now that all three shows have aired and been shown to the world, I feel great about all three shows. Dynamite was really, I thought, an excellent show top to bottom. I felt great about it. It did a great number. Again, it was one of the top three shows on cable, and it's up like something like, I don't know, 30% year over year, something like up a big number, ballpark 30% year over year, which is tremendous performance for anything on cable. And when you look at how the universe of cable has trended to be up 30% year over year without factoring in any cord cutting or anything like that, it's outstanding. And within the world of wrestling, it is the best number year over year of anybody's done, which is really awesome. And I really am very proud of what we did this week, because not only do we have a great Dynamite, but then went out tonight, and obviously, I felt good about Rampage airing tonight, but as I've said, and went through those matches. But then tonight, there was a lot of pressure to do something I've never done before, which is a Ring of Honor show. And it's not like an AEW show, because I know the spirit of AEW, because I've been in every single show we've ever done, and there's not a match that's ever happened in AEW where I wasn't in the chair. And but there at Ring of Honor has never been a match where I was in the chair, and there's been 20 years of matches. So it's a lot of history, and there's a lot of fans, and there's thousands of fans all over the world, and I'm shocked at, I don't know the final number yet, but just based on the digital projection I just got, I'm shocked. It is multiple times what anybody had ever projected for this show. So the interest in the new Ring of Honor around the world is obvious, and you heard that great crowd and saw the great crowd that we got, which was not the crowd that this show was tracking for before we signed the purchase agreement last month, and especially since we started announcing these new matches. So there's really exciting things happening in the world of pro wrestling. Obviously, there's a lot happening in pro wrestling, and I'm not naive to that, being where I am right now. There's a reason I'm getting out of town. And I think I'm very excited about what we're doing, and I think it's a great time to be a wrestling fan. And there hasn't been this many things, I think, happening in pro wrestling until these last few years in a long time. And certainly haven't been this many wrestling shows on national television as we get now. So it's awesome, I think, and it's great for the fans, and especially for the men and women of the company, AEW and now Ring of Honor as well. And one thing I'll say is I don't know where the future of it is, but tonight being such a great success and the support of the fans, that's going to help a lot. Like when you watch the shows, when you watch AEW, when you watch Ring of Honor, like you're helping me, you're helping the wrestlers, you're helping give us a chance, and I really appreciate it. And I think what's awesome about the wrestling fans, and what I really try to do, and I think we've done a good job of doing, is, I watch wrestling for 30-something years, and I've seen companies get in a pattern where they don't listen to the fans. And look, anybody in this position is going to make a mistake every once in a while. Nobody bats 1,000, but what's really cool, I think, is like if we make a mistake here or there, we've always tried to listen and make it better, and I think the fans really do know and appreciate that, because like we have a really good track record of coming through on our promises. And then if we do something on a show that isn't exactly what people expected or what they wanted to see, I do try to listen to that. I can't always give everyone exactly that week what they expect. A lot of times things are happening and they're going somewhere and there's a plan. And I just know that the loyalty and support of our fans is what made this show possible, and now the loyalty and support that we got from everyone here in the building tonight and on pay-per-view is why I think there's a really good future for Ring of Honor. So it's a really good question you guys asked. Well, no, not really. I mean, like, now the pressure's, the pressure compared to what it was, maybe like at the beginning of the week, I feel like we just like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like after you win the big game or whatever, like on Sunday, like I know how it feels. I've been on both sides of it in sports, like in real sports, you know, in competitive team sports, not in pro wrestling, but in like the world of team sports. And I'm telling you, like, I've been on both sides of it, and you take wins and losses here too. So in terms of the pressure here, it's very different than what you feel on like a Sunday in the NFL or on a weekend or like a Premier League game or in the championship. But it's still a similar kind of game day pressure. And today was like I said, a really weird game day because I've like never come here before. And it's a lot of pressure because if you don't, so like I was feeling a lot of pressure. Like, does that make sense? No, not right now. No, I feel great. Like, because like I was feeling a ton of pressure because like Connor asked, like it's like what's the future of Ring of Honor? Like, and like Nick very positively received the show. It sounded like the fans really liked the show, and the boys and the girls in the locker room really liked it. So I'm excited about it, but at the same time, like I was feeling a ton of pressure going in because like for the very big question Connor is asking, that's the gajillion-dollar question, which is like, what is this going to be? What is the future? What next for Ring of Honor? Well, like hitting a home run tonight was really important, and I feel like we hit a home run. So now, like, you know, I'm gonna walk out there and I'm about to get a Gatorade bath. So like, I feel great. I'm just like, hopefully they don't ruin my jacket. Thank you.
Adam Wilmore, What Culture Wrestling. Tony, great show tonight. I just want your thoughts on Brian Cage's performance, because I think a lot of people, myself included, were sort of questioning what was next for him. And he really seemed to go out there and make a statement, you know, now being part of Tony Blanchard Enterprises. Your thoughts on him?
I really like Brian Cage. I've always really liked Brian Cage. And it was funny because when I first started thinking this might be a possibility, I hadn't worked Brian Cage kind of back into my plans yet. And I couldn't tell Brian Cage, especially when like we're in a confidential discussion, that like, hey, I'm like, you know, based on where we were going with him, you know, I thought Ricky and Team Taz and Will Hobbs are in a really strong position right now. And obviously with Swerve and Keith Lee coming in, it didn't really make sense to have Brian fighting Ricky and Will anymore, because right now Swerve had a great main event last week with Ricky, and this week Will had a great main event with Keith. And if you guys haven't watched the show yet, it doesn't look like the whole situation. I mean, there was a kick-ass match and a kick-ass situation after. It was a good show. And for Brian, I didn't think it made sense for him around Taz and those guys anymore. I also thought him and Tully here could be a really good situation, especially when FTR and Tully were done. So it was like, it's funny because I really couldn't, because of the situation with the confidentiality and stuff, I couldn't tell Brian, like, I want to buy Ring of Honor and re-debut you and repackage you here until, you know, about a month ago. So it was funny because like Brian, God love Brian. He like told the media I picked up his contract, or somebody told I picked up his contract. I was like, Jesus, Brian, why'd you tell people that? Like, I never told him not to, but I also couldn't tell him what I was doing with it. But I should have told him not to. But that being said, I think it was good because like people wanted to see him come back, and it made it that much better. There were a bunch of moments tonight that were like real. I took stuff that happened in real life and tried to leverage it for like cool stuff, to add a little bit more intrigue to a pay-per-view that already had great matches and great bell-to-bell wrestling, and tons of real-life interest in stuff like FTR and Briscoes, which the guys had built up. I didn't know I was going to buy ROH, and if somebody else had bought it, they would have gotten the benefit of the stuff we did for Final Battle, and I was fine with that. I knew that I might not end up with the company, and it didn't really look like I was going to end up with the company. My gut was that I probably wouldn't, but I still felt like the right thing to do in December was at first to send like videos and tributes from all the great Ring of Honor wrestlers in AEW, not all of them, but a bunch of them, a lot of the great people, a lot of the great stars and top stars in AEW who used to be in Ring of Honor. And I was happy to do that for them. And then when Bandito got COVID, I was very happy to send Jay Lethal. did I know that was going to pay off in a great angle? I would like later, no, I didn't. But sometimes these things work out very well. And so I did a lot of stuff, including send FTR to that show, send Jay Lethal to that show, and send in a lot of videos from stars like, you know, CM Punk and Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole, who we're so grateful for. And then, you know, this thing really came together, culminated, paid off. So, yeah, it was a lot of things came together really well, and Brian Cage is one of them. So the whole thing worked out really well, and I was really happy for him and for Tully because I think it's a great situation, a great repackage for both of them. Obviously, FTR, great night for them. So I think it's worked out for everyone in that situation really well. Team Taz doing very well, Brian's doing well, and so on. So it's great.
Will?
Hi, Tony. Congratulations on the success of the show. One of the things you mentioned was the show staying true to the essence of Ring of Honor. And I think if you look at some of the feedback online, you can see that a lot of Ring of Honor fans are kind of satisfied with how true the show stayed to the essence of Ring of Honor. However, one of the things that fans of Ring of Honor over the last year have been really satisfied with has been the women's division in Ring of Honor, in how the division kind of launched last year. We saw Roxy become the initial Ring of Honor women's champion, and then the belt kind of transitioned so on from there. The person running that division at the time was Maria Kanellis, and she's been fairly vocal online about wanting to get a conversation in with you. Is that a conversation you're interested in having, and resuming some of the direction that Ring of Honor had last year with the women's division?
Sure. It was a very different show at the time. I don't really have the same TV platform at this point. So I would be interested in talking to Maria. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think she's a great wrestler, and I've heard great things about what she did here. I do have a staff and direction in mind when I relaunch the show. I have a lot of talent in mind, including some people that have wrestled here before and some people that haven't wrestled here before. I was really excited to bring AQA in tonight. And I was excited about bringing AQA in general. Ironically, I scouted AQA in a Toni Storm match. And she wrestled Toni Storm on TV last year. And actually, I called Sanjay, and I was looking for somebody to wrestle Jade. And I called Sanjay, and I said, I really like this Toni Storm versus AQA match. I like this AQA. And she did really well, and Toni was great. And did you remember this match? And he said, yeah, I coached that match. And I said, okay, great. And tell me about AQA. And because she had recently gotten released. And she's been excellent working with her. She's worked on Dynamite. She's worked on AEW Dark and Elevation, and now also here in Ring of Honor. And there's more talents like that have wrestled here in Ring of Honor before, and some that like Willow is a great example. Obviously, recently been wrestling here in Ring of Honor. Mercedes is a legendary wrestler for Ring of Honor and a legendary wrestler in the division, and now a great interim champion. Deanna is a little bit of an interesting situation because she is the lineal champion, but she also has other contractual obligations with other companies. So I don't know when we'll get to decide the undisputed title, but there's a lot of exciting stuff happening in the division. I would be excited to talk to Maria, and depending on what she did backstage, I don't know exactly, for example, during the matches, was she on the headset? Was she, I don't know exactly, was she giving, I don't know about that. Is she a notes-taking producer? I'm not sure. It's about stuff I'll maybe learn from her. As far as the creative and stuff, I do have a plan, which I think unfolded through the night and played out pretty well. So I have a lot of ideas, but I'm always down to take ideas from other people, and a lot of the ideas I eventually do come from other people, and I try and organize them and make them work with what I have. But I also get, I get pitched over 100 ideas a week, and most of them I don't do. So, who am I kidding? 80% of them I usually don't do. Because you get asked too many things, and how can you possibly do something when 5 different people are asking you to work with the same 20? You know what I'm saying? You have multiple people that want to work with the same person. Well, you can't do it with everyone. And everyone's like, oh, you never listened to my idea. Well, okay, but the person you're asking to work with, there's 5 different people, 7, 8 different people that came to me with an idea this week. I want to wrestle this person. You can't do it. So that's why being able to keep things organized, I think it's why we've had a good flow of the shows. So as far as coaching, I'm probably to be more specific to your answer, I'm probably more interested in coaching right now than I am in booking. Does that make sense? Great. Thanks, man.
Joel?
Sorry? No, thank you. So Tony, All In, AEW, Ring of Honor, you have made deals with in the past with Impact, New Japan Pro Wrestling, NWA. What is that that you desire? Anything else that you desire in the pro wrestling business? You know, to do for the pro wrestling business.
It's really hard to do this every week, and I don't take it for granted. And like, how many times? Is there anybody in here who's watched all the Nitros and Thunders through more than once? If anybody, show hands. It always ends the same way, doesn't it? It always ends the same way. And it's when you take your eye off the ball, and it's sad that it ends that way, isn't it? Every time, and you want it to go differently. And now, and I'm the last person in the world who should have it go differently. I'm literally like the last person on the planet who should be hoping that that turned out differently than it did. But yet, I watch it, and it's still hard to watch. And I never want that again for the fans. And I think it was hard transition period, and I hated the uncertainty for the fans of Ring of Honor of what was going to happen, because it wasn't in my decision. I wasn't the one who decided what was going to, all I could do is make my best offer. And thankfully, it was good enough and it was accepted. And I knew that immediately there were things I could do to help this company. And obviously, as soon as I knew that they were going to accept my offer and that this was going to go forward, I knew I had a lot of wrestlers in AEW already that could go back, like a Jay Lethal, like a Lee Moriarty, Mercedes Martinez, even Willow, who wrestled in Ring of Honor but has also been a regular in AEW for a long time. And reaching out to Samoa Joe. It made a lot of sense when the timing was right. I couldn't do it right away necessarily, but it worked out, and it's a great story, and I think it was a great night. So for me, I just want to keep it going. I would like to keep, and that involves the fans. Like, I can't do it. I need all of you, and it involves the fans and the media, and it involves the people covering wrestling. And I don't ask anybody to sugarcoat it. I just want people to watch the wrestling and give it a chance. Sometimes it's hard because it's not hard. Oh my God, it's great. I have the easiest job in the world. Sometimes I get. Sometimes I work myself up because I feel like AEW, because we do things the right way and have good shows pretty regularly, and there's a decent amount of wrestling in almost every episode. If we ever get away from something or do something that people don't like, I feel like people are almost very quick. Sometimes, but I also don't take the support for granted. But sometimes I think we get held to a different standard than other people, and that's okay, because I think we probably did that to ourselves, and it's a good thing, because if people have liked the shows that much, where people have said that many positive things about the pay-per-views and the TV shows we've done, I think it's a really good thing. I also think that the quality of AEW and the quality of the recent pay-per-views, the three biggest pay-per-views in terms of buy rates we've ever done, have been the last three, and they've arguably also been the three best pay-per-views we've ever done, with Revolution, Full Gear, and All Out. That's our three biggest commercially, and probably our three best. And so it sets a high standard of performance, and I think people wonder what was going to happen with Ring of Honor, and I really felt like we lived up to our expectations, which is great. Like, there's been shows that had really good matches and really good moments on them, like All Out 2020, and that's like a really good example, because like I would go back and do things totally different about that show again if I could. But I also think there's a lot of really great stuff on All Out 2020, and so I think there's, I still look at the positives there. But when you do a show like this, where pretty much everything comes off perfect, or like Revolution last month, where everything's great, and really our last few shows, and where the fans are happy and the wrestlers are happy, and coming out really positive in terms of injuries, because it's a very dangerous sport, and everyone's okay, it seems like, which is great. That's always a great thing. So no, there's nothing else I want except to keep the fans watching AEW, and now to keep fans interested in Ring of Honor, and the fan interest and what the fans here in the Dallas Metroplex, and all the people who came and traveled here for this show, or for whatever show they came here for, the people who are here tonight, and the thousands and thousands of people who bought the show on pay-per-view, way beyond anybody's wildest expectations, are what really probably mean that there's a really good future for Ring of Honor. I have a good feeling.
A few more for Tony. Damien?
Tony, great show overall, gotta admit. I'm an ROH lifer from back in New York City, so it was good to see it here in DFW come to life. You mentioned your vision for it eventually, where even though you don't know where it's going to go, and today was the first day you were in the chair, so to speak, for Ring of Honor. Who will you lean on going forward if you are to cultivate your vision? Who are you going to lean on so you don't burn yourself out on both ends because you want to get into the coaching aspect?
Yeah.
So who, besides you being a coach, what other people do you want to lean
Well,
on?
I'm saying
to
what I meant by that answer, by the way, for Will is I'm saying like in terms of hiring, like the booking, I think I would have a good handle on actually, and I listened to a lot of people and will certainly solicit ideas from a lot of people, but also I think a lot of this show came out of one place and it came pretty good, and so I'm very happy with it, and I'm very happy with where we are creatively and a lot of our stuff. But I also, anytime anybody wants to bring me an idea, I'll if I can make it work and if I like it, like I'm going to do my best, and that's something everybody who's ever worked with me knows, especially people who've successfully pitched me anything. And so like what I would say about it is, there's also for ideas for coaching, for either ideas in the match, especially, but also in long-term direction. The coaches are so valuable. We have great people in AEW who also were here tonight. They're former Ring of Honor wrestlers, and they were involved in the coaching aspect. Christopher Daniels, QT Marshall, Sanjay Dutt, a lot of great people. Also, other great wrestlers. Serena Deeb has been here. Serena Deeb in the coaching, and so a number of great people that can get involved on screen and off screen, who I work with really closely. And I do a lot with, as far as helping me put shows together. I think Sanjay and QT do a great job every week. QT's been here a long time. Sanjay is newer, has stepped up big time. And those guys are two essential people for sure. They were here tonight and they do a great job, they on screen and off screen. Although Sanjay on screen tonight, what a son of a bitch.
Let's go with Reg and then Phil.
Righteous Reg, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, Graphing Podcast. Why do you hate this weekend so much, Tom?
I don't. I love this weekend. I love tonight. Friday's great.
Yeah, what I was leading to is, for me, I've been to a bunch of these weekends surrounding other companies, but specifically talking about tonight's show, I've watched a lot of great Ring of Honor shows during this, crazy weekend. And so what you're saying is this is the last Ring of Honor show I'll ever see?
What do you mean? What, you're going to come to please, Reg, come to some more Ring of Honor shows.
No, I'm saying for this,
that's
a
year in advance, but
yeah.
Man, it's soul crushing to have to book that.
Right.
But it was already booked, but man, I think we can draw without coming here. But on the other hand, it's a tradition for the fans who do come here. And to be honest, I never looked at it like that until you said it like that. Now you're making me feel really bad. Maybe I should. Well, AEW, I always said AEW was never going to come and do this. And I stuck to that. I never said Ring of Honor would never come and do it. And actually, we've done it once. So maybe I should do it, and I'll just get the hell out of town on Friday night. But that also gives them a year to counter-program and come up with some thing to do to me. So, that being said, what do you want to do?
Double or Nothing weekend.
Well, that could be cool too. There's a lot of great wrestling on these pay-per-view weekends, and that's something to think about. And that's an idea. I love ideas, and I never thought of that till the IWC brought it up. And sometimes the IWC floats things, and I don't know if it was you first or somebody else, but I did see somebody say that. I never thought about that, but it's a hell of an idea. The only thing is, from Friday, we do the Fan Fest on Saturday. Do Rampage, the Fan Fest, possibly Ring of Honor, and this is all depending on, again, I have a TV contract. I have to run things by Warner Media and do everything the right way, but it's a hell of an idea. And it's very creative, but it is a lot on the weekend. And, I'll be interested. We'll see how the crowd is this weekend if they're, no, it's something to think about. It's a hell of an idea with Double or Nothing and All Out and Revolution and all the great weekends we create. It would probably work better with Double or Nothing, All Out, and Revolution versus Full Gear, because Full Gear is the only one that's on a Saturday, whereas the others are all on Sundays. But it's something to think about for sure. But again, hitting a home run in terms of the performance of this thing and showing that, it was the #1 trending thing in the world on Twitter, and the huge pay-per-view buys, and that we were able to do it the right way, I think bodes really well for the future. So that's why I was saying before, I don't feel the pressure so much anymore. I feel pretty good.
Phil and then second row, and then that's a wrap.
Phil and the Rhapsody podcast. Feature report.
Phil, can I do one thing real quick? Sorry, I feel like I did not right by Reg real quick. So, Reg, thanks to you, I would consider it, and you've opened my mind up to something I probably hadn't considered before, because I never looked at your perspective on how people see the event, like, because that's very fair. And I'm the first person who always says, watch your wrestling. And like I said, I never wanted AEW to piggyback on anyone's shows, but you're right. It's a Ring of Honor tradition that goes way back. So, what you're saying makes a lot of sense. So I have to look at it that way. So thank you.
Right. In 2009, my first whatever weekend, I went to an ROH show, and I still think about that show very often. So.
Yeah, well, you're right. You're probably right. It's probably made a lot of it has. I'm sure it has made a lot of new fans, and I never looked at it that way. So you may have actually changed my thinking on it. So thank you.
No
Thanks, Red.
You talked about.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. You talked about, of course, bringing back somebody like Will Nightingale and other people that have done Dark and some of your AEW shows. Another name that's done AEW shows is Trish Adora. Is there any interest in bringing her back to Ring of Honor?
Yeah, I like Trish Adora. And actually, I would have been interested. She was on a short list of people for that interim match that I would have considered. I do like her, and there's the women we used I think are great, and I brought in AQA from AEW, and Alize's been here in Ring of Honor before. She's great, and obviously I know Willow and Mercedes very well. But I like Trish, and she was actually one of the people I considered for that spot, one of the spots out here, and so yeah, absolutely, I would. But it's good to hear you like her. I think she's great too. So and I've seen her on Ring of Honor, mostly in the empty arena shows. I've seen her a lot of shows where there weren't fans, and it's hard to sometimes tell. But I also, like Cash was saying, like a lot of people learned from that and became better wrestlers. I saw people really evolve, and then I know that when the fans came back at the 25% capacity. On a bad night, maybe it was 600-700 people. On a good night, it was 1,200 people. And it felt like anywhere from 5,000 to 25,000 because we were so used to not having them. So I watched her, and I really liked her, and I thought it was impressive that she was doing it in matches with no fans and connecting through the camera, which is like a really good sign because that's what a lot of the people, like you, to your point, who really connected like her on Dark, although there, she was good on there, but I probably saw her more and actually thought I saw her connect more in this past year in Ring of Honor, if that makes sense, in some of the TV matches that they did with her, and that's one of the reasons why I did consider her for a spot here, and she would be a good person to bring back. So thanks, Phil. That's a good question. I can do. Is there anybody who did not get to ask me a question?
The second row, and then we should be covered.
Good evening, Tony. Matt Bishop, Slam Wrestling. So the Briscoes had obligations with Impact tonight as well. Did that, not to throw the phrase, but did that impact how you formatted the show tonight?
No, because I thought it was obviously going to be a great match, and I also thought that it made a lot of sense for a lot of reasons. If you look at how everything was formatted, it's for a bunch of reasons, and I just thought it was like there's no one reason you do things sometimes when you're putting formats together, but tonight was a little different because I had two shows on. So I thought it would be, if you look, Swerve was the first thing on the pay-per-view, and he's the last thing on Rampage. Young Bucks were out, and then the way it went, they were on, not long after that, they were on Rampage, and they referenced it on. They never said it because I didn't want to spoil on Rampage what happened. So we didn't say it was for the Ring of Honor belts. We said it was for the AAA belts. But what they say, if you watch their promo on Rampage, is like, by now everyone knows we accepted your challenge. So it didn't really spoil the pay-per-view for anyone that was DVRing it. But it was like, if you watch both, it was a little bit of a Rick Rude, two places, one night moment for them and for Swerve. And it's. It's, I don't know. Having gone through it, like having been through this, when I from like the beginning to the end, it's probably one of the more surreal experiences I've ever had in pro wrestling, because I've never been unfamiliar in my own company with some things and some people before. Like we all started from scratch together, and to come into something new and like meet new people, it was really different. But what was your question again, man? no, seriously, come on.
That was with the Briscoes appearing in.
Yeah, okay, so that, like, I didn't, so the deal was, with Joe coming, again, this is also surreal, and, like, talking about it, and, like, I've never had to deal with this, with people having, like, bookings on other stuff, and, like, it didn't really play into it, because I think they were on last, aren't they on last on the other show anyway, I think, so it ruined, I think it could have gone on last, but I also thought that, like, with Joe coming, it made a lot of sense, and it wasn't just Joe, but we did so much at the end of the show, like, you saw so many things, like the relationship between Gresham and Lethal, the tag team champions for a long time, and the mentor-protege relationship they have, something that came to light at the end of Final Battle, and also at Death Before Dishonor, with Moriarty and Lethal. And to have Moriarty out there after that, when the moment with Gresham and Lethal breaks down, Sanjay getting involved. If you know Sanjay and Jay well, they're best friends. Sanjay and Jay Lethal have been best friends for 20 years. And so I know how the kind of chemistry they have. I think there's a great thing brewing there. And then to have them out there with Gresham and Lethal and Moriarty and Sanjay, and then to have Samoa Joe show up, I thought it was a really powerful moment, and it did a lot of things. So did what we did at the end of Briscoes and FTR. But I also thought it would be a great thing to have the Undisputed title match on last, and it worked out well for everybody. So their schedule and their other bookings, I mean, they're the Ring of Honor champions coming into tonight, so I think that was what everybody's concern was first and foremost. And whatever ends up happening tonight, I wish them the best in the match. I think they're wrestling the Good Brothers, I believe, who are also great people, and I wish all four guys the best. But I don't think that was the big concern of what we were doing. I think they wanted to have a great match with FTR they've been looking forward to, and that was their focus. And for me, I wanted to make sure that went on in probably in the right timing. And then we had great stuff after that with Suzuki winning his first American Championship versus Rhett Titus, who's been so important here to Ring of Honor. With, of course, Wheeler Yuta winning the Pure title and then announcing after all this time and the big week he had with the match with Bryan Danielson that Wheeler Yuta's All Elite. And, of course, that great main event in Samoa Joe. So I thought the way it all flowed was probably perfect. So them having the other bookings wasn't what it was about, really. It was probably about the flow of the show and everything tonight in this crazy universe. So going back to when I took myself off track, because I was thinking about what a crazy, surreal night it is. Because, like, there's never been so many moving pieces. And, like, when you asked me before about, like, the pressure and how do I feel about that, and, like, it felt like a huge amount of pressure's off because it was doing something we've never done and we did it. So that's always really cool. Thank you guys for this. I really appreciate you all being here, and it was because of you guys and ladies and everybody here that the show was such a great success, and you're all awesome, and I know everybody in the room loves pro wrestling, and that makes me feel really good about it, so thank you.
Thank you.